Patrick here, the $1 Million Man with the $1 Million Plan. Today we're talking about this simple idea, the idea of really just having an overall bigger picture. Understanding certain things in the small cap world, low float stocks, what you should be looking for, what you should be looking for on the chart, and kind of just how it all works. Now, I want to be truthful with you guys. It doesn't always work exactly like you plan. We all know how that goes. You know, in hindsight, it should have, it would have, it could have. But if you have an understanding, if you understand what's really going on with some of these low float stocks, some of these crazy movers, what's really going on, let's take a look here at ADXX. Ow, it's so hard to say. ADXS. Let's talk about it in this video, kind of what I'm looking at, what's going on, and all that fun stuff. So, you know what to do. You better stay tuned. What's going on, my day trading fanatic people out there all across the world? You know what's really cool about this channel is that there's people basically all across the world tuning in to find out how much money I lost today. Well, luckily for you guys, this is not a video about me losing money. It's more so a video about something that I kind of missed in hindsight, but something that I should have noticed right away with ADXS. Now, this video, if you're watching it, it's in hindsight. This was a trade that happened on Monday morning. You're watching this video, it's Tuesday morning. I know somebody's going to comment and they're going to be like, what are you talking about? ADXS is not even that price today. But this is more so an informational video talking about kind of time frames, things you should be looking for, and just the overall idea of little hints, little things, little secrets that are on the chart that you might miss. And I'll admit it, I kind of missed this one as well yesterday on ADXS. I'm not going to say it anymore because you already know what chart we're looking at. You can already see it right here. I don't need to say it ever again. First off, this is the 1 minute chart, and obviously in hindsight, it's like, wow, what a beautiful short opportunity. Now, I made a little bit of money this morning buying the dip, selling the rip, but overall, you can kind of see what's going on here. Had a big spike and a big drop. Now, yourself, you know, this stock had good news, right? It had news that came out. Why did this stock drop like it did? Why did it go all the way up and then come all the way back down? Well, biotech companies, there's a reason that most biotech companies get pumped up and then get dropped and then do reverse splits and do all types of crazy things to keep their share price high to basically fund their operations. Remember, most biotech companies, most biotech stocks, they don't make any money. And the only way that they can make money is because of offerings, or basically offering stock, selling stock, pumping the share price, doing things to keep the share price at a certain price and do more. You know, there's all types of ways to make money, however they're doing it. I'm no biotech pump expert, but I will tell you one thing here. All right, so ADX, I don't know why I don't need to say it. It's super hard to say. ADXS. It's a tongue twister. Say it 10 times fast. I bet you can't. ADXX. You can't. You can't do it. All right. So looking at the 1 minute chart, we got this big move here. You can see this morning, obviously, again, you know, this is all in hindsight. And I don't want to be that guy who's sitting here in hindsight drawing lines on charts, telling you where you should have bought and where you should have sold. But what I do want to talk about here is kind of what you should be looking at overall. You know, what's the bigger picture here? Now, like I said earlier, this is the 1 minute chart. I hope you have figured that out here. If you can see right here, ADXS 1 minute. Now, okay, big move, whatever. Now, if you go to the 5 minute, whoo, that paints a different picture. Now, what's funny here is if you go to the daily chart's going to be adjusted for that reverse split, but the 5 minute chart is not going to be adjusted for that reverse split. Now, what happens when a stock reverse splits? Well, it's really simple. What happens is they're basically taking 10 million, 20 million shares, whatever their amount of shares are, and then they're taking away, you know, like let's say a 1 to 5. It's a 1 to 5 reverse split, and there's 5 million shares. Now there's only 1 million shares. 5 shares, you now only own 1 share of ADXS. Now, one of the reasons that companies use reverse splits to affect their share price, to keep their share price at a certain point, is to keep their stock listed on the NASDAQ. Now, the NASDAQ has listing requirements. I don't know all the exact listing requirements. That's another video all in itself. But what it means is that a stock has to keep certain requirements to stay listed on the NASDAQ. If the stock cannot meet those requirements, the stock is then moved to the pink sheets, to the OTC. And nobody wants to have their stock listed on the pink sheets. Trust me, you just don't want to have it happen because it's just not fun. And there's a lot of other reasons, but I don't want to go ahead and list all those reasons either because that's another video all in itself. But like I said, this company clearly wanted to keep their share price above $1 so they could continue their listing on the NASDAQ, so they can continue to keep raising money to keep their operations going. So we had this big reverse split on, what was that, Friday? A little bit of a spike, reverse split. What happens normally with reverse splits is you'll get a big reverse split and then the share price just ends up dumping off. So what happened? Up there to 650 and then it dumped down there to the 480s. A little bit of a pop. I think the news came out maybe on Friday, the end of day Friday. This morning, it went from $6.20 up there to $8, and then from $8 up there to $10.80. So obviously, the reverse split helped. Now, also, why does a reverse split matter? Again, listing is important. They want to keep their listing on the NASDAQ, so they keep more people trading it. It gets listed on different funds and all of that fun stuff. But really, the key here is the idea of a smaller float. So if a stock is a smaller float, if you have 100 million shares, it takes a lot more volume. It takes a lot more action to move the share price. If a stock only has 1 million shares, it takes a lot less volume, takes a lot less action to move the price of the stock because it's supply and demand. Think about that, my friends. Supply, demand. How does it work? How do stocks move? Why do stocks move? How does supply and demand affect share price? How does supply and demand move a stock? Obviously, the more people willing to sell, the more people willing to buy, it moves the share price. If 100 people want to buy a stock and only one person wants to sell, well, it raises the price up because now people are paying a premium for a stock that's in high demand. And what happens? The stock goes higher. Also, on this type of setup, it's really just, I'm going to say that this was an orchestrated short squeeze in a sense. I'm thinking somebody out there really played this one like a fiddle because they just ran it straight up at open and then they dumped it right back down. You can see here on the 5-minute chart, look at this candle here at open. It went from $8.19 up here to $9.40. And then right here, what was this, at open from $9.30, from $8.91 up there to $10.80. Now, right after that, at $9.35, 5 minutes after the market opens, it drops from $10.70 right back down there to where it started at, basically at the $8 area. And then by the end of the day, we got down here to $6.24, my friends. I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked up the word pump and dump, or if you ever looked up the phrase pump and dump on Google, but baby, this is probably the picture of a pump and dump, the perfect pump and dump. They pumped it and then they dumped it. Now, again, what's this all mean? What does it all really mean? I'm thinking that there was a little bit of an orchestrated pump and dump here. News came out the day after the reverse split. Now, if you look at the daily chart here, look at this stock. It's been going lower and lower and lower for quite some time, my friends. It had a little bit of a bounce, but overall, this stock has done nothing but go lower for a long, long time. I mean, yeah, down. Just how beautiful this really was. Getting that reverse split on Friday, and then on Monday morning, getting the squeeze, and then getting the dump. Now, I don't want to tell you guys that this thing's going to keep going lower and lower forever, but there's a pretty good chance that this stock keeps going lower and lower forever. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't want to make any claims. I financially can't allow myself, or I legally can't allow myself to post videos on YouTube and tell you that this stock is going to go higher or this stock is going to go lower. I am not a licensed professional investment advisor by any means. I'm far from that. I'm just some idiot on YouTube talking about stocks. But ADXS, was this a big manipulation from the get-go? Was this one big blueprint of a pump and dump? Did they know exactly what they're doing? And I'm going to have to say they did. I'm saying somebody out there had this plan from the day one. They knew what was going on. They knew that reverse split was hitting, and they knew that news was coming out the next day, and they knew the squeeze was going to be beautiful, and they knew they could just dump it right back down. And that's exactly what we got there. We got that big pop and the big drop on ADXS. So, again, things you should be looking for with these types of stocks. Stocks that have a little bit of news. This is phase 1 trial news. I can pretty much guarantee, I cannot guarantee, again, because I'm not a licensed professional. I'm just some idiot on YouTube talking about stocks. But I'm telling you right now, most of the time, 99% of the time, when a stock comes out with news about a phase 1 trial, success, or whatever it is, the stock might pump, but it's going to dump at some point. It might pump for a couple days, but if you're able to get shares to short and you're able to short the top, it can be pretty profitable. Like today, if you were shorting up here at $10.50 and you got the move all the way down to $6.50, that's a $4 move, my friends. That's a beautiful, beautiful move. But is it always possible to short right at the top? Are you always able to get right at the top short? Probably not. But if you were smart here and you kind of looked at this like, hey, again, I don't want to be one of those guys on YouTube making hindsight videos, but if you looked at this, you had this big spike, the pullback, and then we got stuck. Where we get stuck at, right there from that earlier resistance here at pre-market resistance there at 840. So if you were shorting into that resistance there at 840s, it's game on, my friend, game on. And you can see basically what happened. This thing bounced back and then just got dropped. Now, I wanted to pull this chart up here, which was interesting, because you might ask yourself, why did this stock stop where it stopped at? Now, I'm not always one to look at the 200-day moving average, but that's pretty damn close. The moving average is right around the $11 area. Today, it spiked up there to 1080. Pretty close to touching that 200-day moving average. Again, it's interesting because it's a reverse split. The stock has been adjusted, the price and all that. But definitely something to think about. If you're looking at the daily overall kind of, why would this stock pull back where it did? Why would this stock stop where it did? What is really going on there? The 200-day moving average is there. It's showing some possible resistance, and that's what we got. But, in hindsight, quote unquote, in hindsight here, where was the beautiful play? Now, if you got long here at $8, you got the ride to $10. Not bad. Not a bad trade at all. Nice little spike, nice little drop. But if you were able to just kind of sit back, be patient, wait for it, and then see here, this all day long, getting short into that 840 resistance ain't a bad trade, my friends. It ain't bad. Because look at this, from 827 drops to $7.55. That's a beautiful candle. Now, you can easily sit here and say, yeah, but it could have spiked. But, if this thing spiked, what are we looking at? We're looking at maybe 860 kind of as the next resistance, kind of like, oh, I'm watching this. I'm maybe risking 20, 30 cents on this trade for a possible dollar move easily. I'm thinking if we break below, that $8 area from $8, we're pretty much like, where are we going to go? We're going to $7.50. We're going down here to $7, which, kind of played out perfectly from $8.25 there on that candle, basically down here to $7. So you can see, there's always potential, and I think a lot of people always think that, you got to trade right there at open. You got to be right in those first 5-minute candles. You got to be action. But, you could have easily sat here and kind of been patient and waited and watched and then had that drop later on. And, again, it's all hindsight here. But, where's the potential? Where's the better meat of the move here? Like I said, you're not always going to be able to get short into that big first squeeze like you did there, into this, get that big squeeze. But you can see really overall in the day, ADXS really giving some action there. Pre-market going from $6 up there to 1080 and then just coming on right back down there to $6. So really, recapping here, I think I've already recapped before here in this video, but recapping for the final time and the final recap on this recap of this hindsight trading video is to think about bigger time frames, thinking about the bigger picture here. If I'm looking at the 5-minute chart and I'm looking at this stock, I'm like, okay, On the daily chart, I've got some resistance coming up there at the $11 area on my daily chart. I'm looking at this like, oh my gosh, this is a recent reverse split. Basically, anytime I see a stock that's a reverse split, I keep a close eye on it because of setups just like this. I know kind of what's going on. The stock's getting manipulated. They're trying to keep the share price at a certain point so they can stay listed on the NASDAQ. Now, is that to say you can't get squeezed? Is that to say you can't have trouble? No. I mean, there's always a chance, but there's definitely potential. There's definitely potential, and that's what we got here on ADX. I hate saying this name. I'm done talking about the stock. Bigger picture here is looking at the bigger picture. Looking at the bigger picture, understanding these low float stocks, why they pump up, why they do what they do. You know, low float, big pump right there at open, and then people just hammering it short. This stock got hammered right back to where it came from. And you can see pretty clearly, you know, in hindsight here, where would have been the best entries. Obviously, you know, up here at $11 would have been a beautiful entry. But, you know, even if you miss out on that big spike, getting short into that big spike, you had plenty of time to kind of wait for that 840 resistance to get tested multiple times and then kind of shorting into that 830, 840 area, and then bam, nice move to the downside. So think about that when you're looking at these types of stocks. Kind of figure out, you know, is it a biotech company? Are they pumping it for a reason? Kind of what's the news? Phase 1 news? I don't love it. You know, phase 3? Yeah, I can get excited about phase 3. Phase 2? But phase 1 news, like I said, 99% of the time, phase 1 news is going to end up popping and then dropping. You know, maybe it holds a little bit. Maybe there's like groundbreaking trial, phase 1. But overall, most of the time, when I see a stock that got phase 1 news and something like this set up here with the reverse split, kind of what's going on, something to think about. Something to think about, my friends. So start thinking about that bigger picture. If you're going to be trading low float stocks, if you're going to be trading these types of stocks, think about the bigger picture sometimes. You know, with the reverse split, with the low flow, why is it doing what it's doing? What's the news? What's really going on with this stock? Should I be buying at the top? Should I be shorting at the top? Kind of what I should be looking for, and having a game plan and understanding that all these low float stocks that are getting pumped, they're getting pumped for a reason. These stocks normally aren't good companies. They're normally hurting for money. They're doing anything they can to keep their share price at a certain point, to keep the listing, and to make money to keep the business running. This biotech company needs the share price to stay at a certain point. They need to be able to have offerings. They need to be able to raise capital through the stock market, and they do it by manipulating their share price, and they do it by doing weird things like reverse splits and low floats and pumping the news and all that fun stuff. It is what it is. Biotechs, baby. You got to love them. You got to hate them, but you got to be careful as well. You got to be careful. I think what happened here on ADXS this morning, really simple. I think a lot of people probably got short here thinking this was going to get just hammered it open, and instead we got that big squeeze. I'm going to put money on it. That's basically what happened here. You know, there was definitely somebody buying, pushing it higher. But overall, I think what happened is we got a lot of people shorting this at open, kind of right before open, you know, pre-market shorting there in the 840 area because it tested that 840 area multiple times. Had trouble there at the 840s. And then right there at open, it squeezed. And it was like, oh gosh. And we got that squeeze, shorts, getting squeezed. And look at this fake out there. This is pretty beautiful too. You got a lot of selling there on top of this candle. You got a lot of selling, but then the stock kind of held and then squeezed, and that's why it went from $9 back up there to $10.80 pretty quickly, just like that. Just a classic short squeeze. But overall, again, I keep rambling. I'm going to close the video out soon. Remember, kind of think about it. Start to learn. Start to think about why these stocks do what they do, what's going on, what's the bigger picture. Look at the bigger time frames. 5-minute, hourly, daily, 1-minute chart. Every chart you can. Look at all the charts. Look at all the different time frames. Look at all the different EMAs. Look at all the different news and things that's going on with that stock and kind of get a better idea. You know, a lot of times people think about when they're looking at my videos, they don't see all the other charts. I got my 30-minute pulled up. I got my 5-minute pulled up. I got my daily chart pulled up. I got a lot of stuff going on that you don't see behind the scenes. So there it is. If you guys haven't already, do me one big favor. Hit that subscribe button. I'm all jacked up. I got some chocolate ice cream for dinner, and I'm ready to party. But like I said, if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Let's go.